Hello, hello. How are you today? So, I am just going to do a little bit of housekeeping to um, see if I'm live and there's no glitch. So, if you're watching this live, say hashtag live. And if you watch the replay, do hashtag replay in the comments below. So, hello and welcome. I'm Nadda Adamjee, and I am here today to talk about something that has been on my mind for a while and something that I struggle with myself and I have to keep coming back to. So if you see me looking here and there, it's my notes. So I don't want to forget anything. That's why I've got a few pointers written down so that we can really get into this in the next few minutes. And I want to keep it short, but I want to keep it very concise and very, let's say, accurate on what the topic is today. So the topic is know your triggers to master your mindset. And the reason why this is an important topic is because mindset, everyone knows, is huge. Okay. So the reason why I say that is because you can have the best strategies, you can have the best of everything in life, but if your mindset is not like in tune to what you really want, then you can actually hinder yourself. You can get in your own way. You can also basically do self-sabotage. So the mindset in any situation is the most important thing. Know that. So mindset affects your relationships. Mindset affects the way you show up in work. Mindset affects your personal life, your business life, the way you are with your kids, your relationships in general with friends, family, whatever else. So today's main things that we're going to talk about are the triggers of mindset, because mindset are patterns, are stories that we tell ourselves. Okay. And it's not necessarily that those stories are lies, but it could be that your mind created those things to keep you safe because something happened at some point and subconsciously that is what your mind did. So I'm not going to get into the really technical and all that kind of stuff because that is not what this is about. Today is about finding your triggers. And that's all that today is about. So in order for you to understand your triggers, you have to first realize that there is a problem. And how would you know that? When you have repeat patterns of the same behavior or of the same outcome, or when you feel that you're stuck and you seem to be living that same thing again and again. And if you hear yourself saying, oh my God, not again, or oh my God, again, this is the same thing happening to me, or my business, or this, or, if you feel that, or if you think about that regularly, that means that you're stuck in a pattern. And that pattern usually happens because of mindset. It happens because of subconscious mind. And so I want you to know that there is a cure. I want you to know that it happens to everybody. It's just that some people know how to deal with it better than others. So before I truly dive into this, I just want to see that that the comments and everything are like working. And basically, I just want to know that everything is functioning fine. So just bear with me a second so I just can go in my group and see that everything is running smoothly and there's no glitch. And do comment if you're watching this because I like comments. Okay, so it seems to be fine. And okay, cool. That's all I needed to see. Okay. So let's get to it. In the spiritual world, in basically the spiritual, like people who are more spiritual, there is this saying that the mind is controlled by the devil, whereas the heart is controlled by by God. So if you can control your mind, which is the devil's playground, you can achieve a lot in life. So in this training or talk or whatever you want to say, in this, we're going to talk about those things, those triggers. I call it triggers, but or those patterns that get you to that stage, that get you down the rabbit hole of wherever you end up going, because our mind plays tricks on us all the time, and we tend to stay stuck in those words that we tell ourselves, those negative beliefs that we have about ourselves, or those something that maybe somebody said to us when we were kids, or maybe something that we somehow started believing. Because nobody is born this way, nobody comes out like born like no one's born with all these negative thoughts. When kids are born, when babies are born, they're pure, their energy is pure, they have pure hearts. But it's the world that corrupts us, it's the relationships, the people around us, our environment, our culture, our whatever input, like authority figures. They are the ones who sort of have this influence, where we take in whatever they say and we take it to heart, basically. And even if we dismiss it at that point, our subconscious mind holds on to it. So it's something that happens all the time. And there's something like, I remember I used to have this all the time. I used to say, oh, bad luck, oh yeah, that's just my bad luck. But now I catch myself from saying things like that, because those are just negative things. Like, I also catch myself saying things like, oh, I'm running late, oh my god, I'm late, I need to do this, I need to do that. That is again my mind playing tricks on me, because just to keep me running and hustling and all of that, when even if that's not aligned with what I am or where I am at the moment. So how do you recognize when you have a negative thought pattern or when you have a negative story? Basically, you have to understand that there is a pattern happening and repeating. You need to figure out, and when you start paying attention, you will see that you are slowly figuring out. Half the time, we don't spend time in the here and now. Half the time, we're either thinking about the future or the plan that we have for whatever plan we have in life, or we're, thinking about the past. So if you're doing that, if you think about the past or the future or whatever a lot, that means you're not in the present. And unless you're in the present, you will never, ever be content with what you have. You will never be grateful for what you have, because you're not there to enjoy it. You're mentally somewhere else. So this is the problem that I see with a lot of people. This is something that I sort of started working on in my 20s, when I realized that this was a problem. But you have to realize there's a problem in order to acknowledge it and then try to fix it. So this one, because I said, is all about triggers. So I'm going to give you 3 tools of how to identify what is triggering you. And when I say trigger, let's clarify what a trigger is. Trigger is something that happens to you or you experience, and suddenly your mood changes. Suddenly you start reacting a certain way. Suddenly you get angry. Suddenly you get like, you can get excited with triggers as well. But those kind of triggers are positive triggers. There's positive triggers and there's negative triggers. Positive triggers I do not call triggers. I call them affirmations. Whereas negative things are triggers, because they're triggering you on the negative path. Something that is not beneficial to you at this point in life, or what you're trying to achieve. So first of all, when you start observing yourself, know every time that you're thinking about something, what are you thinking about? What is the topic of that thought? And whether it's about you, whether it's about some goal of yours, whether it's about a person, about a situation. So know that. What are your thoughts about? Know that. Are they thoughts that leave you excited? Are they thoughts that are self-negating, or like just self-deprecating kind of thoughts? Are they things that are making you feel positive emotions or negative emotions? How do you feel after that thought? Once you realize it's a thought and you get out of it, do you feel like, oh god, oh shit, like that? Or do you feel like, happy? So those are like, that's the first thing you have to think. You have to know about what is the thought. Number 2 is, does it leave you positive or does it leave you in a negative mindset? Number three that you have to know is that, is it something that's already happened, or is it something that you want to happen? If it's already happened, that means it's something in the past, and it's not something that you should be technically thinking about, because focusing on the past is only going to lead to regrets. And if it's something in the future and it's something that you plan or you're trying to manifest or whatever, it should not leave you negative. If it's something in the future that's leaving you with fear, then you need to work on those fears. So there are basically essentially two things. Every time you have a negative thought pattern, you have two options. One is to correct yourself and know that it was just a thought, it's not the reality, and to come back to the present. So that goes without saying, but you have to do it deliberately with intention. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, you can kind of dive deeper into it. You can actually invite that negative thought in, and you can ask yourself, but know this, you cannot be asking yourself in your head. You have to say the words out loud. This is why I say that words have power. When you say a word, you're going to feel the energy of that word. I know this might sound woo-woo, or this might sound like, what is she talking about, if you don't believe in this stuff, but I have personal experience in this, and I'm not going to get into it right now because that's not what this topic is about. What today is about, I mean. So today is about the triggers and the power of words, the power of thoughts, and what we verbalize, and be intentional about what you say. Because our thoughts, and if we are focused on a negative thought, that's the energy that we're putting out there. So that energy is bringing in more negativity. So if you have positive thoughts, if you're happy, if you're full of gratitude, if you're full of joy and things like that, then suddenly your aura is all about that, and that's what you put out there. I know it sounds, I never used to believe any of this until like some couple of years ago. Well, more than a couple of years ago, but it happened slowly over time. That's why I'm so convinced. I know that if you're hearing about this the first time, you're just going to be like, what is she saying? And this sounds totally cuckoo. But honestly speaking, this stuff works. And it's not I'm a very God-centric person. So this is not like some crazy stuff. I just think the spiritual world is it was defined by religion at one point. Now it's been taken over by some other just spiritual and not religious people. But if you actually delve down deeper into religion, like I have done in the past few years, religion teaches you these things. It's there. It's just that we forgot about it. And we started, when we do it through religion, people say, oh, she's backwards or she's whatever. But when they do it through spiritual stuff, but we're not religious, but we're spiritual, then people are like, ooh, they lap it up. Because somehow over the last 100 years, religion has been correlated with backwards, uneducated people who don't know any better sort of thing. But that's not true. That's the perception of this time at this point. So I know that was a tangent, but let me just get that out of the way. I don't care if I get hate comments for it, but that's what it is. Okay, so coming back to the triggers. So the first thing, as I mentioned, was knowing your thoughts. Second thing is, where are they coming from? Do they involve a specific situation, a specific person, a topic that's bringing these emotions out on you? Third thing is to identify whether it's in the future or is in the past. So those are the three things that you have to know to identify your triggers. But what I was talking about after that is the two options. So the first option of what to do about it is acknowledge that, okay, I was getting this thought and it was positive or negative, but okay, I'm now in the present. I'm not going to I have to enjoy the moment. But the other thing is to actually let it come, let the thought come, and be intentional about it, that I want to know where the thought is going, and I want to learn, why am I feeling this way, what is it that triggers me about it, and what so that will open the door for you to sort of delve into finding out more about yourself. Because a lot of the times that we have these patterns is because, like I said in the beginning, our mind is trying to protect us. Okay, our subconscious mind is trying to protect us from whatever things we need protection from, even if we do not need protection, and most of the time we do not. But the mind thinks that it's doing us a favor, it's protecting us, it's doing its job. So if you delve a little deeper, you'll find out how it's completely false what your mind is convincing you of, and then you can rephrase it, and you can very easily get out of that thought pattern. So it took me a while to figure this out for myself, but because I'm intuitive, and I can do this, I can get in touch with my intuition really, really fast. So I think I'm lucky in that. Other people might require therapy, they might require, I don't know, hypnosis, which I've heard does wonders for this kind of thing. But you have to have trusted source for that. You can't just go to some random person for that. It must be someone highly recommended, because trust me, you don't want to be hypnotized by some random crook, because why risk it? So those were the things that I wanted to talk to you about. There are a couple of other things that I can add to that, but I don't want to confuse you. So I'm just going to give you like a little one-liner for it. So maybe sometime in the future we'll talk about that. But in this one, I didn't want to get too into it in terms of like confusing the topic, because this is about triggers. When I told you that, you also have to understand yourself. Every time you stop yourself and say, oh, that was a thought from present or past or whatever, you have to also realize and kind of note in your head, or write it somewhere so you don't forget that what that thought was about. And also, how often are you getting it? Like, how regularly, how many times a day, or how many times a week or month or whatever it is that you get it? And is it something that you come back to again and again, or there are different thoughts or different scenarios that are played out in your head, and are done like, repeatedly many times in a day or week or whatever. So start noticing down the frequency of it, because that is going to help you understand how much time you spend in, that is what I call la la land, because that's your head basically. That's not the reality that you're in. So how to come back to reality is another step, but acknowledging that there is living in the head kind of situation, and how to avoid it. Because remember, it's this subconscious mind that keeps you stuck. It's this subconscious mind and thought patterns that keep you second guessing yourself, that keeps you away from actually listening to your intuition. It's actually this kind of stuff that hinders your progress. And recently I came across a quote, and it's from one of the religious teachings that I was reading. And it said very clearly that, like I said before, that it's, the devil is in the mind, and your heart is with God, and listen to your heart as opposed to your mind. But in this world, we are conditioned to not listen to the heart, because the heart is soft, the heart is trusting, and the heart is just like, just a softy kind of thing. Whereas the mind is the go-getter, the mind is, is analytical, it's smart, it'll get you where you need to go. So that is true, but it's also like half truth. So the mind, if you control it yourself, is a force for positivity. But if your mind is controlling you, then it's not a force for positivity. So that is why it is so important to be on top of your mindset and to know you have to keep working on it. And this mindset thing is never truly really done. This mindset work is like, it's a cliche to say, compare it to an onion, that the layers have to be peeled off. And there are times that when you think that you've dealt with it and you're hunky-dory, happy, whatever, and then it'll just whack you in the face from some new thing, some new angle, or some new issue that you have to deal with. And this is the thing, you can have a million strategies to get to your vision, but if your mindset is holding you back or keeping you stuck, you might not ever get your vision. You might see that other people who started after you have got it already, whereas you started, like, I don't know, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 1 year ago, and you're still stuck where you're stuck because you did not work through that mindset. So you have to work through that mindset in order to progress. So every time you feel that you're stuck somewhere, ask yourself, what is keeping you stuck? Ask yourself, what is it that you're thinking? If you're procrastinating, for example, now I'm going off the topic, but if you're procrastinating, for example, that is also a negative mindset. That's also a mindset thing, because the mindset is basically, in a way, hinting to you that there's something that you're not aligned with. Your normal brain thinks that it's fine, but your subconscious mind is like, I don't like that. So you have to figure out, like, why does it not like that? What is it about it that is not aligned? And try to like sort of merge the two, or find a solution. So the layers have to be peeled back again and again, and it's a process, and it's a slow progress. And sometimes you, like I said, you deal with something and you move on and everything is perfect, and then suddenly something else will come up, and then you have to work through that for a few days, a few weeks, a few months, whatever it takes. So on that note, I would just like to say that if you ever say, I have bad luck, or, oh, I'm not smart enough, or stupid me, I got that wrong, or, oh God, I'm so late all the time, I'm not. Stop saying those things. Those are all negative stuff. Those are all things, like, if you, for example, are like me and are your biggest critic, you have to stop that voice. You have to stop yourself in your tracks, because those are words, again, that are keeping you stuck, that are keeping you in your mind. So be mindful of that. So on that note, I would just like to say that as a brand strategist, I help brands figure out this, like, help them with their strategies, how to get their vision and all of that stuff. But strategies are just the plan. Mindset is what's going to help you get there. So I might give you the best strategy in the world, but if your mindset is not right, you might not ever achieve it. So getting those things aligned along with your energy is crucial. So if you want to know more, or if you would like to get help in this, or if you feel that you get stuck all the time, or sometimes, or are stuck right now, for example, then I will put a link. You can book a free call with me, and we'll just see what you want in life and how to get you there. And this is something that I am doing along with the branding thing that I've been doing, simply because I feel this is so important. And unless you work on this simultaneously, especially if you are a business owner or you plan to be a business owner, this can make or break your business. This is as simple as that. That's, like, I can't say it any simpler than that. So on that note, like I said, the link I'm just going to put in the comments, so come back for it if you haven't seen it yet, because obviously I haven't put it yet. But on that note, if you enjoyed it, do comment also, because this is something I usually don't talk about. But if you enjoyed it, I can certainly talk about it a little bit more. All right, on that note, I will call it a day, and see you next time.